Today, the Supreme Court will hear a case that's important to survivors of domestic violence. It's called U.S. versus Rahimi. Justices will decide whether someone charged with a domestic violence crime should have access to a gun. Since 1994, federal law has barred people under domestic violence restraining orders from possessing firearms. But if the federal law falls, so would similar laws in most states. Joining us live to talk about the impact of this case is Emily Roth with the Houston Area Women's Center. Good morning, Emily.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So tell me, how often are guns actually used in domestic violence situations?
Sure. So in Houston, domestic violence related homicides account for about 18% of all homicides in Houston, and about 75% of those are committed with a gun. So that is a huge percentage of domestic violence related murders that occur with a gun.
And I know the Houston Area Women's Center released a gun violence report. What were some of the key findings in that report?
Basically, that firearms are undeniably the leading cause of domestic violence homicides for women and children in our country. The right to carry without a permit went into effect in Texas in September of 2021. And it's not a coincidence that we've seen the number of Houston's domestic violence related homicides committed with a gun increase more than 60% in the years after. So we are taking a stand and saying that we cannot pretend there's not a correlation between gun laws and domestic violence deaths.
What do you want to see to come out of today? What do you want to see to come out of today's hearing then?
We hope that the Supreme Court sides on the side of survivors and keeps this very important, critical life-saving protection in place.
If somebody is maybe listening to this right now, what words of advice would you have for them? Where can they go for help?
Sure. So the Houston Area Women's Center has services 24/7. They are all free. We like to remind people that leaving is the most dangerous time. HAWK offers safety planning. Safety planning saves lives. Our services work. Call our hotlines. We have trained advocates and professionals here to help. We can guide you on how to create a safety plan to leave to ensure your safety and your family's safety.
All right, Emily Roth with the Houston Area Women's Center. We appreciate your time this morning. Now, Rahimi, the defendant challenging the federal gun law before the Supreme Court, was issued a restraining order in 2020 after a violent altercation with his girlfriend. That same year, he took part in 5 shootings in Texas. When the police eventually obtained a search warrant for his home, they found a rifle, a pistol, and Rahimi admitted that he was subject to the protective order. We reached out to the National Rifle Association for an interview to discuss their position on this case, but the organization declined to comment. They did send us their brief filing, which says in part, Rahimi should not only lose his Second Amendment liberties, but he should also lose all of his liberties if the allegations against him are ultimately proven true with sufficient due process. But constitutional safeguards cannot be set aside to obtain those ends. As we talk about domestic violence, I want to remind you about the resources and help available for you or your loved ones. When you go to click2houston.com/domestic violence, you can find resources like phone numbers, organizations that want to help you, and tips that they might have to getting you out of a bad situation. This is designed to help you or someone you love. You'll find it on click2houston.com.